her deep love for family, like the people in her life, she would like give life for them.
It's effortless for him to be kind.
Just how unapologetically she loves Jesus.
He's not an outsider anymore. He's a part of me. He's family.
So I guess it all started with an interest, and once I knew that she was also interested, the time that we spent after that is what took us to the stage of being in love.
I guess there was no certain moment or time that I realized, because with Abeyson we eventually grew in love.
And I would say, I think as we were getting ready for the engagement ceremony, which happened in November, and after that, I think that would be more of a specific time where I could say that I was in love with Elsa.
So it was not like it happened over the first time. Like when he asked me, there was no emotions at all, to be honest. But I guess over the time, when we grew closer, like we had our proposal in October. That is when Abeyson proposed me, just like a 1 month before our engagement. August we started off, August 2020, and by October it was when that I really knew that this is the person I want to spend all my life with. Though I was all sure from the beginning, but yeah, the love grew. It didn't happen like overnight.
So I always say this to everybody who's been asking me from the first time. The first thing is just how unapologetically she loves Jesus, and just even her unapologetically just calling him Yeshupapa in front of whoever it is, and that itself shows the relationship that they have with him, and that's like the topmost thing, because that's something that I did not see in many people, and I've seen in her, and that's one of the top things.
One would be the way that he loves God, regardless of anything that he is, and that the yeses that he has said to the Lord, which I guess if I was in his place to live a country like US and like just step into India without knowing anything, I don't know if I could have done that. But the choices and the yes that he's ready to say to Jesus is one of the reasons that I could say yes to him.
Then the second thing is her smile. It's so inviting, obviously. So it's you can make any, like, even a person who's meeting her for the first time, he still feels welcome because of how she smiles and takes care.
Second is would be the way that he is kind. It's effortless for him to be kind, and that's something that I have not noticed in a lot of people, that it just flows like water. He can be kind to everyone around, it's just not me. So that is one of the things that attracts me. That's the second thing.
The third thing would be just like her deep love for family, like the people in her life. She would like give life for them, like they come. So it's like I wanted to be in that level, so that was like a thing. So yeah, her deep love for family would be the third part. Yeah.
And the third would be the way he loves me, the way he honors me, the way he's super patient with me. All that love, kindness, patience, and all that fruits are like well visible in him, and he's just so handsome too. Yeah. There's so many to count from. I guess both of our birthdays. His birthday, I took all the possible efforts to make it special, and it was special because he was crying for 2 hours from 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. But for my birthday, it turned all the way around when he fell sick, and I had to be in hospital. It was my last birthday before the wedding, but I had to spend all the day in hospital with Abeyson But I also realized that I wouldn't have wanted it any other way than with him. He even pushed me, go have a nice day, go out, it's your birthday and all of that stuff, because I was excited for one last birthday as a spinster. But I guess what matters by the time you realize that it's not about the birthdays, it's not about the celebration or the special days, it's about that special person. Regardless of the situation, you just want to be with them. Yeah, even if it's just sharing a small meal that we cooked, or it's some lavish date nights that we are having, uh, from like making Maggies or chapatis in the kitchen to going in 5-star restaurants and having like a big spread. I guess in all of that, we just learn that no matter the situation, it has not always been like fairy tale. We had our hard ups and downs. I also realized why it's called courtship. You really get to know the other person. You really get, when you're building towards the wedding, you know certain things he wants, certain things you want, and you come in a mid ground. But the realization of in every ups and downs in the 6 months of courtship that we had is that regardless, we want to be together. We would rather do it anyway, in anyhow, but together. So yeah, that's one of the importance that I have learned in courtship with Abeyson.
So memorable experiences, I would actually always go back to the time. It's not in the period of courtship per se, but just even first meeting her. It's funny that we're recording this in this room, because in this room is where I first had a long conversation with Alicia and Maria. We had a long conversation. It was like on that couch, and we were all just sitting and just talking about her life and praying. I always go back to that because I love the fact that our relationship is stemmed out of that friendship. So way before all this interest or courtship or anything began, she was still like an amazing person. And so I think that's something that always triggers me back. But in the courtship itself, I think the times where things were not as we both wanted it to be, but then at the end of the day, we both came saying, I know it's hard, but we're gonna do this together. One of the lines that she said, I believe it was in Delhi when we went to Delhi for SOAR. We were just talking about so many differences that we both had. And then I still remember it was like we were about to get on the metro and we were just talking about all these things. And she said, yeah, our differences are many, but our similarities are stronger, and our similarity is Jesus. So that moment of the revelation about our relationship and our relationship with God, I think that would be like the most memorable so far in the courtship.
Yeah, I would really say it just built us so much that I knew I have to tell it doesn't look like a fairy tale. It doesn't look like our Instagram post, always perfect, always in love. There has been ups and downs. One of the things that when we started off, we had decided to do, which I initiated, which comes from the family background I come, that prayer is very important to me, to my house. So that was one of the things. No matter what all arguments we had, no matter what all glitch we had throughout the day, at the end of the day, we both will pray. And by God's grace, from the day one to till today's sunlight, we were able to maintain it, and that's something we want to do for the rest of our lives. And I believe that's something, even through all the ups and downs, kept us together in this courtship. It's not easy to plan a pandemic wedding without his parents being there. A lot of things, like I can go on and on about it, but I guess when God is in the center and God is involved, your courtship and your wedding and your relationship, everything comes together, even if it's hard. So yeah, that's a few things. I went little elaborate about it, but yeah, that's something that I learned in my period of courtship with him.
In what ways are we most alike? I believe we both are very expressive in nature. Whatever we're feeling, or even the love that we have for people, we're expressive. We don't just hold it. I feel like, I guess for me, I'm a little bit too expressive, but for her, at least in her close circle, she's very expressive. Yeah, but then I guess as I think about it more, the most alike thing would be just like our uh, outlook on creative living. Not just the regular status quo of, like you do your certain college degree, go into like a certain job. Like we're so not the norm of what it is, and I think that's the biggest similarity.
Um, so, uh, we have a lot of differences. Like literally from clothes to food to a lot of things. But I guess something that I said in the beginning of our relationship and that stayed with us, that our differences are many, but our similarity is stronger because our similarity is Jesus. The heart we have towards God is aligned. So no matter all that things that goes apart, that doesn't look like same, just because of Jesus, and we know that regardless, He can hold it all together. And that's our hope, that's our strength, and that's how it's easy to do.
That the God factor in this relationship, that's something that we always go back to, is that it was His plan to bring us together, and it will be His faithfulness that will keep us together. Because we were friends, but we both never had any intentions of being together. We were okay with just being friends, and somehow it had to be a God thing where it changed in both of our hearts. Like for me to have that interest, and even to Elsa, because like she's been fighting this whole not being with somebody who's outside of India and all that stuff. So even for her to come, it shows that it was a God thing, that the fact that we are even together, and we know that it is His faithfulness that's going to keep us together.
I would say God was never an outsider. He was always involved from day one. It was not like we do a life together and sometimes we invite Jesus in it. It has always been Jesus, Abeyson and Abdela, all three of us together. So this relationship have never been apart from God. It has always been together God. It's not that God is there in our weak times or in our happy times, and in the middle He's not there. Because as wonderfully as a song says, that He is the God of middle. He's the God of the beginning, and He holds what all goes in the middle. I guess all throughout, having Jesus in everything was the God moment, that God was never out of it to have a God moment.
I guess the most recent that comes to mind is yesterday, having my grandpa pass away, and that too like a day before the wedding. It's weird because I think she was so ready to just let it all stop, if that is what I wanted. And to know that I have that freedom to, even though this whole thing means a lot, like her whole family's here, you guys are here, everybody's here. But she was like, it's okay if it doesn't happen, it's completely fine. So it's knowing that that she would care for me more than all the other planned things, and that was a big thing. That's the recent one, so that just comes to mind right now.
One of the things that really hit me, and still hitting me, because it's just the wedding time, is not having his parents here. I would say Abeyson has been very strong in this. If I was in his place, I would have not been able to do it. It just happens one in a lifetime, and that's one of the times that you want your family to be there for you. If not all of them just your parents. Uh, there was one thing that was very hard for me and still hard to sink in, because he's the elder son. I know it would have been hard for his mom and dad and brother to not be a part of the first wedding in the house. So that's something is still hitting me. I don't know if I'll be ever out of it. Uh, but Abeyson stood so strong for me in there. I even asked him if you want to push it, but we don't know how tomorrow will look like. 'Cause it's not like two different states; it's two different countries. That was one of the strongest hit that hit me throughout our courtship time. Throughout the time when we know they booked their tickets and the government cancelled their tickets, US Embassy cancelled their tickets, and they couldn't come to India. That hit me so bad. But again, also like it get aligns with the fact that I have never met my in-laws. That I don't know if it has happened to any other person. I don't know anybody who went with the same experience that they never met. Like, I know there has been in Indian culture, there was a time when the bride never knew the groom because the family decided it all, and the bride will only see the groom on the day of the wedding. But it's the other way around, that I have not met my in-laws and my parents that are in Dallas. So yeah, that's one of the hard times that I would remember. And second to it would be on my birthday, when I saw Abeyson in hospital and him in pain and the injections and all. It hurts you bad when you see somebody you so love in so much of pain. It was really hard for me. I broke down. Like, I knew that he is not that day. One of the realization that came in my life was he's not an outsider anymore. He's a part of me. He's family. He matters as much to me as my father, my mother, and my brother did over the years. So yeah, that.